Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to add and use dashboard parameters in your Dune SQL queries. What are parameters? Parameters are one of the most powerful features in Dune. They let you make your queries a lot more interactive so users can change the values without having to edit the entire SQL code. Instead of hard coding a date range or a specific value, you can let users control it with a simple input field or a defined list of variables. This makes your dashboard, this feature makes your dashboard really flexible, reusable, and way more powerful than you can imagine. By the end of this video, you would know how to create parameters in your queries, use them in your SQL, add them to dashboards, and make your analytics very interactive. Let me start by showing you a typical query. This query here is to show the transaction count for the last 7 days on Ethereum. So the last 7 days on Ethereum. I'm going to click on run to pull this data. Now, as you can see, I now have the transaction count for the last 7 days, but there is a problem. This seven here, the seven that I'm highlighting here, I've just highlighted, is hard coded. Now, imagine a situation where you need to get information for the last 14 days, last 21 days, 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, as the case may be. I would have to go back into the SQL code, the SQL query, change the 7 to a different number, my preferred number at that point, and run it again. And if this is a dashboard that other people are using, they can't change it. They won't be able to change it unless they have edit access to my query. So this is where parameters come in. Now I would like to show you how to make this query very flexible. To create a parameter in Dune, you need to understand that you you use something called double curly braces. So double curly braces. So pay attention to the what you're to use double curly braces. So this is what you use when you want to create a parameter, when you want to create a parameter on Dune. So now, since we are trying to create a parameter around the number of days to filter out when we want to get our data from Dune. So I would put the curly braces here. Sorry, curly braces, double curly braces, like I said, and pay attention to something. Now, pay attention to this part that I'm hovering over, just between this new icon and this icons up here, the four icons up here. So you would see that you just pay attention to this the moment I add the remaining two curly braces to, you can see we now have the parameter icon, the parameter menu. So this gives us the ability, it gives us the ability to now tailor our parameter to our own preference. And there are different ways to edit our parameters. So I'm going to use the first one, but this one is a little bit limited as you would you might need to, give more context to the parameter that you're creating. So first of all, you can now give your parameter a name from here, just in between your query, the curly braces within your SQL query. So we're trying to get the number of days, so number, and mind you, do not use space to separate your words, your variables when doing this. So instead you use underscore. If you use space, your code will run into an error. So just like this, no. You have to go back and then put number of days. And as you can see, this has changed. Initially, when this wasn't there, it was just default value. But now that you've put a context, number of of days, This is to help the users of our dashboard, of our analysis, of to interact better with our dashboard, to understand the information we're trying to pass across. So I will delete this and then show us the other way that gives us more flexibility to edit our parameter that we've just created. So now you all you have to do is click on this settings icon on that parameter on the parameter tab. Click on it and then it brings up this pop-up menu. So this gives you the leverage to to create to tweak your parameter as you want for easy usage of your user. So now you do take for instance now this one number of that would be the name of our parameter number of, and remember, do not use space, instead use underscore. So now we've created the name as set the name as number of days. The next thing to do is to create a parameter description. This description is to give an insight to help the user further understand what they are filtering for, what the parameter is for. So now you now say this shows the number of days of your choice. So it could be anything depending, but just make sure it's something that would help the user easily relate, easily understand the message you're passing across. So what parameter type? There are different parameter types. We have the number, we have the date, we have the text, that's if it's string, and we also have a list. So for the sake of this video, we'll be talking about number and list. And you guys can just try out other parameter type on your own. So now we've chosen text, and for the default value, the default, okay, now I'll pick number, and then for the default value, since we already set it for 7 in our code in our query, our initial query was for 7 days. So I will set the default value for 14 days, so that anytime you run this code, this query, it gives you 14 days information automatically. So I could set it to 30 days. I could set it to any number of days. But for the sake of this video, I will put it at 14. And pay attention to what happens. Number of days 14. It automatically filters for 14 by default. So all I have to do next is click on run. So after clicking on run, we now have our 14 days information of 14 days count of Ethereum transaction. So that now that we have that, we can also, since we've set the parameter to impute the number of days that we want, we can easily filter it out. So if you want for 30 days, all you have to do is impute 30 days and then run again. And pay attention to something. When we did the description, remember I put this shows the number of days of your choice. So now it gives us more context into what we are searching as to what this parameter does. Okay, if you the number of days you want to filter out for, the number of days you need information for. So this gives you a context. It helps you understand what the parameter does a lot more. That is why you have to, as an analyst, as a blockchain analyst, you have to help your user understand the information you're trying to pass across. So another thing that is for the numbers part. So I'm going to go over to the list part and pay attention to something. Initially, we didn't have this. When remember I deleted this from this number of days, but the moment we set it in here, we had a change. So if I come here and I say number, this changes to number. So you need to understand what you're working with and what it really does. So I'm going to put it back to number of days. And then, yeah. So now we're going to try out the list. So for the list, you need to also pay attention to this. I'm going to change the parameter type to list. And then, so look at this freeform, allow selecting any value, not just specified options. No, allow selecting multiple options from the list. No. Um, so now I'm going to create a list myself. So I'm not going to select any of these options, but I'm going to create a list. Let's assume we want to create a list for 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, and then 30 days. So you have to make sure now, separate options with new lines. Pay attention to the separate options with new lines. And what does that mean? So if you pick 7 days first, the next option would be go to the next line, then input 14. It's one that's to show you the list of days that are options that we are making available to the end user. 21, 30. We can decide to add 90, as many as we want, but I'm just going to keep it at just these four variables: 7, 14, 21, and 30. So now because of that, I'm going to save the video and I'm going to select the default, as you can see, as let me say 21. So I'm going to select the default selection as 21. So this automatically puts my query filter to 21, and then I would run. So this would now give me 21 days information, transaction count for the last 21 days. So I hope we understand that. So now going forward, we can now create our dashboard. So now I'll create our metric, visualization first, and then go to our dashboard. So we can just create a line chart for, let's say, a line chart. So this gives us a line chart for for Dune. So I'm just going to say transaction count. I'm not going to go into these details, and I'm going to say day. Okay, number of number of transactions. Just going to say day. Yeah. So I'm just not going into detail of tweaking your dashboard at the moment. So, but the main essence of this is to help you understand the parameters. So now that I've created this, I can now decide to create a dashboard. So now I would come here and then create a dashboard. I'll create a new dashboard. Okay, let me save this. Okay, wait, hold on. I have to save this query first. So let me save this as okay, tests test parameter. I'll save it in okay. Where do I want to? Yeah, I'll just save it in. Yeah, let me save it in creations. Yeah, creation. So yeah, that's it. So now that we've done that, I can now decide to, okay, now I would create a dashboard, a new dashboard, and then bring this onto our dashboard. Save and open, save and open. So now that I've created this, I now want to edit and add a visualization. So I want to show you what it would show you, what it will look like on the dashboard. So now, as you can see, this now gives us a leverage. So I'm going to click on done, and this gives us a leverage. Can you see? Because we've created a list, so automatically, when for the dashboard, you would have a lot of metrics on your dashboard. But for this particular metric, for this particular visualization, you can easily tweak and then run for you can run one query. So you can easily tweak for the period you want. So that is the essence of parameters. So and also I also want to mention something again. Make sure a few important rules for parameters. Use double curly braces, no spaces in between the names. The case matters as well, and you have to use names that are highly descriptive. And lastly, the common parameter use cases are you can use it for date range, You can use it for wallet address selection, contract address selection, token address selection. Let's assume you have a list of addresses and you want to filter out for a particular address. You can create it. Then that's when you now start using maybe inputs variable like text and numbers and the like. So you can tailor it to your preference based on use case. So you can also filter by minimum amount, maximum amount, blockchain name, asset name, and there is a lot you can actually do with parameters, and it makes your dashboard look so wonderful, and it helps the user interact with your dashboard. I hope you guys can put this to use and just keep building, keep practicing. Thank you.